Hello everyone, I'm so excited to be here. If it's a little dark, it's actually still morning to be honest with you, so I had to add extra light. I am in a very different location right now, so I'm very excited to be the ninth house. If you're here for the ninth house, you are in the right place. If you need an introduction, well, I have a video specifically for that. Unfortunately, I just choose to get right into the topic. And I feel like this is such a biggest, highest, important house because it really shows off your dharma in this world. And it's a house of really what you call knowledge. And I honestly believe, many astrologers believe that, the ninth house is really, I think, in my own personal opinion, I think it really represents the house of marriage. Because the ability to think, the ability to actually receive knowledge is so important. And where do we get our knowledge? And where do we get our PhD? Where do we go and do that? Is university. And guess what? Our relationship is our higher knowledge. And when we consummate the relationship, that's where we go. We have rules, we have expectation, we run it like it's actually almost a business, but a different way. And that's why I think it's really where it's such a powerful place. I honestly believe that that's where you sign contracts. That's where you consummate the real relationship and you go into agreement. That's the written contract. And once you actually graduate in, getting your PhD or your higher education, guess what? You rebirth yourself. We talked about the 8th house. This is about rebirthing your identity. So when you get married, guess what? Your identity get rebirthed. You might be carrying a different your husband's last name. You have different responsibility. Things change. I feel like this is where you become the higher being of you. There's things like, you could be pursuing like science, religion, philosophy, all that concept. It's called a higher mindset. That's where the belief system really happens here. If you didn't have that education, if you didn't have that knowledge, if you didn't have that tools, who would you be, really? And I feel like that's where the philosophy comes down to. It's really the 9th house. So if you are watching this is where it will inspire you to go and actually get a higher philosophy. If things are not working in the way that you want, your job, your career, your marriage, get knowledge. Reach out and get knowledge. Be inspired for knowledge. We talked about, this is my favorite house. I'm a little bit biased. Obviously, I have a really strong 9th house. So I have an amazing, in this house is so amazing because I have gurus, I have teachers, I have professors that taught me about life, including my dad. If you have a really nice 9th house, I know there's other factors, but just overall in general, the 9th house really represent your father, how they actually taught you about life, where to go in life, direction in life. If you have this strongness in your house, I honestly believe that you become a really better person, like a deeper consciousness. And you really inspire by teachers and professors and people who's in front of you teaching. You really are inspired. You're not a rebel. You really soak in what's being taught. And that's where it really comes into, Yeah, we could call it a guru. There's many gurus, but I just call them teachers, really teachers who wants you to become a better version of yourself. If you didn't have this knowledge, you wouldn't be here, or you didn't even know that, get you to the next level or get you to the next step. So this is where I believe it's called the house, and people call it the house of philosophy. I just call it the house of wisdom, really. And that's a house of being inspired. And that's how I really see it. And that could be through your spouse as well, because they teach you certain things as well. So this is where it really shows up for a lot of people in this lifetime. So that's why the ninth house is so important. It has to do with the ethical side as well. So, you know, if you don't have a strong ninth house, you know, be inspired. Go and allow yourself, go get knowledge and positive knowledge that actually better you as a version of you. And that sometimes you can get higher education. You know, a lot of people in the ninth house really want to get their PhD, including myself here. You know, I would sit all day long and be like, I want like 10 PhD, and I just really want knowledge, and that's just what it is. And if you crave for that, go for it. I don't think there's anything wrong with knowledge. I think you need to contemplate what's in front of you and allow yourself to soak into the knowledge and see if it actually fits your lifestyle. Not every knowledge is going to be healthy for you. Let's be true here. So we talked about the eighth house, where a lot of the times, you know, occult studies and stuff like that, we go into group, and then we go into finding our own philosophy, finding our own step of the way, finding our own path, finding our own knowledge, rebirthing some of the stuff that was learning. And is there a different way that it's been taught? You know, ninth house is a house, I believe, is the house of popularity. You know, if you're a writer, great. And it's great for publishing, by the way. So if you have a really strong ninth house, great. Go and publish book. Go get yourself out there. Even if it's weak, you know, I hate using that word, but I feel like the people who really struggle with the ninth house actually succeed better than the people who have a strong ninth house sometimes. You know, that's what I have seen so many times. I have seen people who just don't have a strong ninth house. And guess what? They go grab all the knowledge in this world. They soak it all in because they just can't handle the fact that, it's not handle the fact, but they don't want to accept or have that limiting belief or continue on that limiting belief that this is how it's going to be. And that's not always the case. You can always use free will. And your teacher, your guru, somebody that inspires you to be that better version, they're going to give you that knowledge. Sorry, I'm kind of sitting on a bouncy ball, so I'm a little bit rolling all over the place, but we're going to get through this video. So it's really great for publishing, multinational ventures, import, export, and business as well. Great for traveling as a position here. And we really want to allow yourself, we're gonna go back to the steps where if you're doing Prajna Hora, Hori's charts and stuff like that, it's really great for this. So the ninth house, we talked about who it represents. So normally it's the philosophy, the teacher, could be a priest, could be a lawyer, could be anybody advising or instructor, a father figure as well. A guru, I think we talked about. I would consider it as an expert. So ninth house could be also experts in this area. We talked about somebody being really good at this area. That's where you want to reach out to these people, right? And if you're not good at something, no problem. You can actually be able to learn and soak these knowledge. Go find an expert. You know, if you don't want to find an expert, go find somebody that's better in this area and they can teach you how to do it, right? It just takes small steps, right? I feel like sometimes the small victories that happens in life is the bigger victory because you're not looking at the overall picture where it's overwhelming, but you look at the first step that you need to take, the initiative steps. You're going to get to that place where you need to be. And it's just a place of satisfaction. You don't ever have to compare yourself to other people. I think you just have to really take in whatever the teacher's been taught to you, your guru or teacher, instructor, or whatever you want to call them, mentor, coach, advisor, experts, whatever, father figure, great. Just take the first step. Don't allow yourself soak in and believe that limiting belief that you might have that this is how it's always going to be. And that's not the case. So I hope I have inspired you based on that, on the ninth house. If you're struggling in this area, it's not the end of the world. We're just human. Just remember that. I'm just human. I make mistakes all the time. But you know what? I'm a human, and what's great about I can learn and fix those things immediately, right? Because I'm driven for that. And so activities could be a factor like, workshop, webinar, masterclass, like a classroom setting, like learning from a teacher, even like Bible studies, like sitting in a group, doing like mantras or like yogas and things like that. Great. Those are activity. It could be in a yoga room. It could be a classroom of chairs. It could be a seminar. So it could be visual as well. So if you're learning online, great. That's the type of activity that could actually happen. So, environment, I kind of cover a little bit about that too. So I would consider it like teaching tools. So it would be like chalkboards, whiteboard. I think nobody uses chalkboard. Maybe some countries do it, but I think a lot in the Western culture we use whiteboards. Now it's more like we use Zooms, so like some sort of like interactive, intellectual learning. It could be, online learning service that's happening out there. Like you can do a classroom setting, could be teaching. I'm trying not to give out so much a brand because this is not a video about brand, but you if there's a service out there that you're using, it's pretty well known out there. Yeah, it could be books for sure. That would be one of them, learning. The universe in general. So I think if you didn't know what the ninth house, what planet it would represent, is Jupiter. My favorite planet. I call it the hippy dippy planet. It's one of my favorite planets. It's the house of joyness and gratitude. So this is the activity that actually happens here. I'm going to go a little bit more deep in the planet, but without actually probably representing the planet as best as I can about the ninth house. And so if you are having a goal or ambition in this area, in the ninth house, and that's what it looks like is like you have a lot of philosophy, you have driven by religion or goal or belief system, and it could be just like, the secret, or the gratitude, or the centered, God, I have to go back to that. It's one of the prayers. It could be a mantra. So if your goals start off with that, like it's based on philosophy, how you live your life, great. That's what it is. How you're emotionally integrating is like, it could be mindset. So a lot of your mindset really goes back into philosophy, how you deeply feel about, Darwin theory or the law of attraction. Those are the belief system. If you're really have that fieriness and you really want to fight and have that principle and that, what I call the military spirit, believing in peace is a factor as well, because that's really, and they practice based on teaching on that and doing those things. That's where the ninth house really represents that the fieriness, and I want peace, and that's what I'm going to fight for. That's what it is. Someone who has a really, what do you call, a strong teaching ability or has faith and loves to communicate in this area, and even including writing, this is a great house for that. If you are intrigued this area of writing, religion, philosophy, a philosopher, really, I believe, even teachers as well, and love to communicate and write based on that, this is you. So, I talk about the hippy dippy planet Jupiter. I honestly believe it is representing luck, but where it really is about ethical, conduct, moral principle, code of conduct, professional, ethical code of conduct, independence, professional independency. That's where it really happens here for you, because you really strongly believe in those things and you follow by those guidance rules. And you hold this a higher standard based on that. Anybody who's in, the the service business and loves to create. I feel like a lot of yogis can be here as well. So, and it's great for anybody who's loving the spiritual realm, and that's great. You're going to be teaching the love of life, and that's great for that. It's really great if you are some sort of counselor for love. This represent you, integrating you, the spiritual life being in this world. If you are, this is a little bit interesting. So, when it comes to like harder planets, I really feel like it really teaches you the truth of life about philosophy, and sometimes it's all about modern philosophy is more important than old philosophy. Some people believe in the religion part of it, that it's great, right? And some people believe in the spiritual part of it. So the spiritual part is a little bit taboo, but the old realm of religion can be a little bit, maybe it's not as modern it is. Maybe women, having ceilings, or women are not allowed to do this, or men are not allowed to do this. Men are no longer allowed to stay home. It's a little bit weird, and women should be going to work. It's a little bit weird. So that's the belief system that we have to really allow yourself to recognize what really fails and what kind of growth that you need to have with maturity overall. And it's all about wealth, really. Wealth in having a belief system that is healthy in the higher being, right? So I feel like that's any harder planets is based on that. It gives you a better idea on what you believe in and what you don't, and you need to go and explore. Allow yourself to explore. Surrender your belief system and allow yourself soak into the positive things that actually makes worth living for. I think that's really what it is. It's giving yourself that dignity as a person. And I think that's really about it that I have for the ninth house. I'm just going to quickly look at anything that I might miss, but don't think it is. But I do have questions for you. If you can't afford an astrologer for whatever reason, that's okay. I do have questions for you, and maybe an astrologer won't understand as much as how you are today. So the biggest thing for you is, do you like philosophy? Do you get inspired by a teacher, mentor, or a coach? Yes, and and how does that show up for you? How frequent that shows up for you as well? Do you do it once a month, once every decade? Like, what's your thing, right? Really a third one is like, do you like to be an expert? And that's really where it is. Do you like being an expert in your field? And how do you show up in this world based on that? And the third, the biggest one is marriage and relationship. Do you really want to get married? Do you want to be in a long-term committed relationship where you can actually sign some sort of document and take responsibility? Did you like being in university and classroom setting as well? Do you get inspired about being ethical, and how that show up to you for yourself? I hope that actually gives you a sense of better understanding you, and that's just my purpose today. Why I do those, do these episodes is because I really get inspired and allow people to get the opportunity to really soak in and learn about these things about themselves. Because the more that you know about yourself, the better that you can communicate with your partner. We all have flaws. We all have, good planets and strong planets. Sometimes the good planet is not that great in our life as well. Too much sugar is not that healthy for you. No matter what they say, out there in this world. What is your belief system that you might have carried for so many years? So I want to conclude today and the next house that we're going to be talking about is the 10th house. And the 10th house is one of my favorite house too. But this is my 9th house, and this is where it's really strong for me. And I hope I have inspired a lot of you out there, and I'll see you next time. All right. Bye.